चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति सपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च नाम पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरसे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपिका गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी कृष्णानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नीलाचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्याम जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So just give me a minute. I'll open the file. So I'll share some verses from Chaitanya Charitamrita, which talks about Catuh Sloki Bhagvatam. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya, chapter number 25, text 102 onwards. Those who want can recite along with me. Bhagavatera Sambandha Abhide Prayojan Catuh Sloki Te Prakat Tar Kariya The Lakshan. Please read the translation.
The essence of Srimad Bhagavatam, our relationship with the Supreme Lord, our activities in that connection, and the goal of life is manifest in the four verses of Srimad Bhagavatam known as the Catuh Sloki. Everything is explained in those verses.
Yes. So Sambandha, Ambade and Prayojan. Sambandha means what is my relationship with Krishna. Abhide means what am I supposed to do as activities in connection with Krishna, and Prayojan means goal of life. So Sambandha, Abhide, Prayojan. Now 103. Ami Sambandha Tattva Amar Jnana Vijnana Ama Paite Sadhan Bhakti Abhideya Nama. Please read the translation.
Lord Krishna says, I am the center of all relationships. Knowledge of me and the practical applications of that knowledge is actual knowledge. Approaching me for devotional service is called Abhideya.
So approaching Lord and practically serving Him is called Abhideya. साधनेरा फल प्रेम मूल प्रयोजन से प्रेम पाय जीव अमर सेवन. Please read the translation.
By rendering devotional service, one gradually rises to the platform of love of Godhead. That is the chief goal of life. On the platform of love of Godhead, one is eternally engaged in the service of the Lord.
Yeah. So what is that prem? Prem is Krishna prem. That is the goal. Prayojan. Sorry, prayojan is Krishna prem. And on that platform, one continuously serves Krishna, eternally serves Krishna. So that's the goal. So with love, it's not just I am having love for Krishna. With that love, I eternally serve Krishna. That is Prayojan. And then this verse comes. Jnanam param guhyame yat vijnana samanvitam sarasam tadangam cha grahana gaditam maya. Please read.
Please hear attentively what I shall speak to you. For transcendental knowledge about me, not only scientific, but full of mysteries.
Sarasam. It is full of mysteries. ए तीन तत्व आमी कहीं नु तुम्हारे जीवे तुम्ही ए तीन नारी बर जानी बारे.
Oh Brahma, I shall explain all these truths to you since you are a living being, Jiva. Without my explanation, you will not be able to understand your relationship with me, devotional activity, and life's ultimate goal.
So without my, unless until I reveal, you can understand all the three tattvas, Sambandha, Abhidya and Prayojan. Yache amar swarupa, yache amar sthiti, yache amar guna karma, sada swara sakti. Please read.
I shall explain to you my actual form and situation, my attributes, activities, and six opulences.
Yes. So I'll explain to you my form, Swarupa, my situation, Sthiti. Then Amar Gun. Gun means qualities or attributes. Karma means activities. And Sadaswara means six opulences. That is beauty, strength, fame, etc. So I'm going to explain all these things or reveal all these things to you. आमार कृपाया ए सब स्फुरक तुम्हारे एतबली तीन तत्व कहिला तहारे. Please read.
Lord Krishna assured Lord Brahma, by my mercy, all these things will be awakened in you. Saying this, the Lord began to explain the three truths, tattvas, to Lord Brahma.
So Lord says, by my mercy, all these things will awaken, and then he begins to speak about these three tattvas, Sambandha, Abhidya and Prayojan. यावनहं यथा भावो यदि रूप गुण कर्म कः तथैव तत्व विज्ञानम अस्तुते मद अनुग्रहात्. Yes, please read.
By my causeless mercy, be enlightened in truth about my personality, manifestations, qualities, and pastimes.
Yes. So mad anugrah, as we had explained yesterday also. So rupa, guna, karma, all these three things I will explain to you. You will be enlightened by all these three things. सृष्टिर पूर्वे षड ऐश्वर्य पूर्ण अमिता है प्रपंच प्रकृति पुरुष आमाते लये.
Before the creation of the cosmic manifestation, the Lord said, I existed, and the total material energy, material nature, and the living entities all existed in me.
Yes. So when nothing was there, I existed. And everything else, that's material energy, material nature, living entities, they all were within me. Basically, they were taking shelter of Lord's body, Mahavishnu's body. सृष्टि कोरी तारा मध्य आमी प्रवेशिये प्रपंच ये देख सबसे आमी हइये.
After creating the cosmic manifestation, I entered into it. Whatever you see in the cosmic manifestation is but an expansion of my energy.
Yes. So then Mahavishnu enters as Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and Garbhodaksha Vishnu enters in each and every atom as Chirudaksha Vishnu. So that is how Lord enters the energy after creation. प्रलय अवशिष्ट आमी पूर्ण हइये प्राकृत प्रपंच पाए आमाते लये. Please read.
When the whole universe dissolves, I remain full in myself, and everything that was manifested in again preserved in me.
Yes. So after the previous sloka was during creation. 110 was at the time of creation, and this is, or previous to creation, and this is after dissolution. So when the whole universe dissolves, I am as I am. I'm full in myself. Why full in himself? Because everything was within the Lord. It continues to stay within the Lord. So that is how Lord remains full in himself. Yes, Brother Dharpo, here's a question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, this is the first time I'm personally reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. I've heard about, verses in lectures, but first time, and I note that, I observe that this looks like a repetition of things that we already have in Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. So, like in Bhagavad Gita, we know Krishna gave it to Arjuna when he was in doubt. Bhagavatam, Parishit Maharaj received when he was about to pass away in 7 days. So for Chaitanya Charitamrita, is there a like a pastime or relevance why this was written or spoken? Can you share something, Prabhuji, for this?
Chaitanya Charitamrita is basically life history of Lord Chaitanya.
Your net has problem.
That
Prabhuji, we cannot hear you, Prabhuji. The connection is not stable.
one thing is this is that initially we understand that bhakti is the highest path. Sarvadharman Parityaj. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I heard in some lectures where the Bhagavad Gita ends, Srimad Bhagavatam begins, where the Srimad Bhagavatam begins and Chaitanya Charitamrita starts. It's like that. It is, as Prabhuji was explaining, it's the highest. Yes, Prabhuji joined back.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
I think I'm supposed to be audible now.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, very much better, Prabhuji.
So Bhagavad Gita ends with Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead and Bhakti is the highest path. Because in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has compared Bhakti with all other things. Karma Mishra Bhakti, Yoga Mishra Bhakti, Gyan Mishra Bhakti, then Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, everything. And he explains that how Suddha Bhakti is the highest. Now Bhagavatam begins with Suddha Bhakti. Dharma project Katav Paramanam Ratsatam. So all other subsidiary religions which have different mixtures are discarded. And Bhagavatam ends with Madhurya Ras of the gopis. But Chaitanya Charitamrita, it consists of how those who are followers of that Madhurya Ras, that means the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, because we are ultimately followers of Radharani. We assist in Radha Krishna pastimes. So how these devotees, they deal with each other and how do they live? So what is the culture of those devotees who are following the footsteps of those who follow the Madhurya Ras? So that is explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Chaitanya Charitamrita is considered to be the highest. So Bhagavatam talks about the highest devotees, but then how do devotees deal with each other? So that is more vividly explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Now you read few verses. It's from Madhya Lila, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Those verses are from Madhya Lila or Antya Lila?
Mataji, that's Madhya Lila, chapter 25.
Madhya Lila, okay. I think again Prabhu's connection has problem. Madhya Lila chapter
25, Mataji. It's from verse 102 onwards.
102 onwards. 102 to 111, right, Prabhuji?
Yes, so far we have done 111, yes, Mataji. Yes.
So, Prabhuji joined back, but is muted.
Internet problem was there. So I'll just complete my answer and then we'll go ahead.
Prabhuji.
Yeah. So as I was telling, Chaitanya Charitamrita is more about how these devotees deal with each other. And then we also find the highest thing, that is love of Radharani for Krishna. That is more explained, vividly explained in the Antalila. So that is like the topmost ecstasy which Radharani experiences due to love for Krishna. So that is how Chaitanya Charitamrita is considered the postgraduate study. But amazingly, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati would do it opposite way. So for those who have faith in Lord Chaitanya, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati would say that first one should read Chaitanya Bhagavat. So read Chaitanya Bhagavat 100 times till you develop attachment for Lord Chaitanya. And then he would say that you should read Chaitanya Charitamrita, by which you will understand Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. And then he would say, then you read Srimad Bhagavatam. First you read Sat Sandarbhas by Jiva Goswami, which is a Gaudiya Vaishnava perspective of understanding Srimad Bhagavatam. Then you should read Srimad Bhagavatam. Then you will have mood of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And then you can read Bhagavad Gita and other books. So Bhakti Saraswati's recommendation was just opposite of what Prabhupada said. So Prabhupada would generally have this Bhagavad.
Can you repeat the sequence, Prabhuji, of the books? Can you please? I'm sorry to ask you in between.
Okay.
I want to know the sequence.
Yes.
First Chaitanya Bhagavatam,
then he would say Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Okay.
Then he would say Sat Sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami.
600.
Then he would recommend Srimad Bhagavatam. And then he would recommend Bhagavad Gita. So it is just opposite of what Prabhupada would speak. And now who is right? Both are right. So for those who have faith in Lord Chaitanya, they can go in the sequence given by Bhakti Saraswati Thakur. But those who don't have faith in God only, for them best thing is to go one by one. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So for Western audience, Prabhupada would recommend Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. And those who have already have faith in Lord Chaitanya, it is Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sat Sandarbhas, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. And for those devotees who are already like fully convinced of the philosophy, Prabhupada would sometimes give an example of Gulab Jamun. Because Prabhupada translated Chaitanya Charitamrita, gave purports, and then he told devotees to distribute. So Giriraj Maharaj asked the same question to Prabhupada. He says that, Prabhupada, you said Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. What should we read first? What Chaitanya Charitamrita has come out. Prabhupada asked, from which side of Gulab Jamun you should eat so that you get the taste. And Giriraj Maharaj said, any side. So Prabhupada said, you can read any book, no problem. Because you are already convinced that Lord Chaitanya is Supreme Lord. Okay,
Prabhuji, so is this the reason that Prabhupada wrote a commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita first and then Srimad Bhagavatam came? Is it the reason? Because
that is the reason. Actually, Prabhupada wanted to give that Gaudiya Vaishnava perspective to all the devotees. So that's why he paused Bhagavatam and wrote Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati would say, if there is a flood and you have a lot of books in your boat, then and the weight is like now increasing because of the books. Throw all the books, just keep 3 books: Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he said that weight is still more. Throw Bhagavad Gita, just keep 2: Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Still, if there is a lot of weight, just keep Chaitanya Charitamrita. That is enough. So Bhakti Saraswati himself was like he was fan of Chaitanya Charitamrita, and every day he would give lectures in Ultadanga Junction Road on Chaitanya Charitamrita. So he would put hours and hours of lectures on Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then disciples would make notes. But those days dictaphones were not there, so they would make notes and now keep them with themselves. So that's how it's like. You can say it is the most important book for all Gaudiya Vaishnavas. But it has a Gaudiya Vaishnava perspective, and also it has all the philosophy. All the conclusions are so easily presented in Chaitanya Charitamrita. What is love? What is lust? Atmindri Priti Vanja Tarvale Kam, Krishna Priti Iksha Dhare Prem Nam. So one line, everything is explained very nicely.
Thank you,
Okay, so now we can continue. Hare Hare. But because we are lagging behind, so maybe what devotees can do, we can just read the translation. Somebody just read translations.
Prior to the cosmic manifestation, only I exist and no phenomena exist, either gross, subtle, or primordial. After creation, only I exist in everything, and after annihilation, only I remain eternally.
Please continue.
In the words beginning aham eva, the word aham is expressed 3 times. In the beginning, there are the words aham eva. In the second line, there are the words paschad aham. At the end are the words so asmi aham. This aham indicates the Supreme Person. By the repetition of aham, the transcendental personality who is complete with 6 opulences is confirmed.
Yes. So this verse explains that how Krishna is a person. And even if we see in this verse, Sarv Dharman Prachita Mam Ekam Saranam Vija. Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo. So Mam Ekam, me alone, and Aham. So I words are used so much to emphasize that I am a person. It's not impersonal. Please continue.
Impersonalists do not accept the personal feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The personality of Godhead is stressed in this verse in order to impress upon them the necessity of accepting Him. Therefore, the word aham is mentioned to stress something important. One repeats it 3 times.
Aham is I am a person. Yes. Please continue.
The Lord Krishna continued. Actually, the spiritual knowledge and its practical application are considered in all this sound wave vibration. Although the eternal energy comes from me.
Please continue.
Sometimes a reflection of the sun is experienced in place of the sun, but its illumination is never possible independent of the sun.
Maybe one devotee can only continue, because then you can just go in sequence.
When one is transcendentally situated, he can perceive me. This perception is the basis of one's relationship with the Supreme Lord. Now let me further explain this subject matter.
So like by seeing sun, we may not enter in sun, but we experience sunlight, sun by sunlight. Similarly, one can experience the Supreme Lord also. Please continue.
What appears to be truth without me is certainly by my illusory energy. For nothing can exist without me. It is like a reflection of a real light in the shadows. For in the light there are neither shadows nor reflections.
Where there is light, there is no science. That means when we see things in connection with Krishna, there is no Maya. Please continue.
Now please hear from me about the process of devotional service, which is applicable in any country for any person at all times and in all circumstances.
That means Lord says that I'll give you Abhidya Gyan. Please continue.
As far as religious principles are concerned, there is a consideration of the person, the country, the time, and the circumstance. In devotional service, however, there are no such considerations. Devotional service is transcendental to all such considerations.
So for dharma, there is des, kal, patra. So if things are not given on time, then there is a trouble. There is a problem. But as far as devotional service is concerned, there is no trouble. It is transcendental. Please continue.
It is therefore the duty of every man, in every country, in every circumstance, and at all times, to approach a bona fide spiritual master, question him about devotional service, and listen to him explain the process.
So tata jigyasu. So this is the next verse which talks about jigyasa. Etavadev jigyasam. Find a bona fide spiritual master, question him about devotional service, and learn from him the process of practicing devotional service. Please continue.
A person interested in transcendental knowledge must therefore always directly and indirectly inquire about it to know about the all pervading truth.
So either by understanding what is right or by understanding what is wrong, we ultimately learn the right path.
Supreme affection for me is called love of Godhead, and that is the ultimate goal of life. Let me explain by a practical example the natural characteristic of such love.
Yes, please read.
The five material elements are existing inside and outside of every living entity. Similarly, I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, am manifest within the heart of the devotee as well as outside his body.
Yes. So this is the nature of love of Godhead. Love of Godhead means one sees Lord inside and outside, everywhere. So, and the example is given of the five great elements. Here is within us and outside us. Similarly, Lord is inside and outside us. For whom? Who has that love of Godhead? So one who has love for God, he sees Krishna everywhere. Like for example, Lord Chaitanya saw the ocean. He remembered Yamuna. He saw this sand dune called Chatak Parvat, and he was remembering Govardhan. Whenever gopis would look at the tamal tree, they would remember Krishna and embrace it. So that is how for devotees see Krishna everywhere, inside, outside, everywhere. And that is a symptom of love of Godhead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, little subtle question. When they see Krishna everywhere, is it Shastra Jakshu or they are actually seeing? So, for example, let's say they see a tree. You mentioned about the Tamal tree. So, are they actually seeing Krishna there instead of the Tamal tree, or they are seeing the Tamal tree, but they are seeing Tamal tree as a connection to Krishna, and that's how they are seeing Krishna? I mean, is it? Because I can't understand that, because there is an illusion. Is it a what are they seeing exactly? Because I think so one time Prabhupada was asked this question, that a reporter asked that question. So Rameshwar Prabhu, he shared this in the Bhagavatam class. He was saying that the reporter asked the question, so do you see Krishna everywhere? And Rameshwar Prabhu, he just he blurted out, that Krishna sitting in the heart reveals knowledge and everything. And Prabhupada immediately he banged on the desk and told him, no. And then he looked the reporter in the eye and he said, yes, I see Krishna and I can hear Krishna talking to me. He said it straight in the face of the reporter. But so, I mean, I don't understand when it is said that when they see the mountain, they see Krishna. Like, are they seeing Krishna himself? The self same Krishna? Or are they seeing the mountain, but they are seeing the mountain in relation to Krishna, and that's where they are reminded of Krishna?
I would ask you a counter question and you have to answer me. So when gopis were dancing with Krishna, so this particular phenomenon is explained very nicely by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. He speaks a beautiful verse. Angana Mangana Mantara Madhavo Madhavam Madhavam Chantena Angada Ittam sakalpito mandale madraga sanjago veduna deviki nandana. So Angana Mangana Mantara Madhava. Between two gopis there is Krishna. And Madhavam Chantena Angada. Between two Krishna there is Gopi. So in this way, and at the same time, Krishna expanded in between the view also, between the circle. Ittam sakalpito mandale madraga. He was in between the mandala. Sanjaga Veduna Deviki Nandana. So in this way, son of Mother Yashoda was playing on Vedu. Now those who were demigods and demigoddesses, they were going on the aeroplane and they saw this phenomena. Krishna is between every gopi is between Krishna, and Krishna has expanded in the center, playing on the flute. But each gopi was feeling that Krishna is there only with me. Okay. Now, if both of them are supposed to write a commentary on the phenomena, so each gopi would write, Krishna is dancing only with me. And all demigods would say, no, Krishna is between each gopi and each gopi is between Krishna. And Krishna is there in the between also. So you will trust which commentary? Commentary by gopis or commentary by demigods? Yes, Rasulas.
Well, if I were to go by observation, I would go with the commentary by the demigods.
So that is called perception. So for us, each one of us, there's different reality in the world. So gopis are also right and they're also right. So there is a tattva, but higher than tattva is rasa. Because ultimate goal of life is to be in love with Krishna. And love means a sort of madness. A sort of madness. So the point is, we are supposed to be mad. And if somebody is looking for Krishna in madness, even if he sees Krishna everywhere, that is truth. But that is a higher perfection. So truths are like, there are different levels of truth. And the highest level of truth is Krishna is everywhere. So many times what happens is, we have our viewpoints and we try to judge things according to those viewpoints. But the truth is that there's something beyond Tattva also, that's called Rasa. So as per Rasa, they see Krishna everywhere and Krishna is everywhere. So I hope I'm able to answer your question to some extent.
Yes, Prabhuji, but it introduces other questions. It can get really because then the question of viraha bhav comes into picture, right? Like if they are really at that level, they're seeing Krishna everywhere. Then how can viraha bhav even come, right? In the sense that they are seeing Krishna everywhere, right? So Krishna, they are always in the midst of Krishna because they're seeing Krishna everywhere. Then how can there even be a separation, right?
They are with Krishna and at the same time not with Krishna. See, problem with us is that we see things according to our perspective. When I am feeling viraha bhava for someone, he is not there. He's not there. But when devotees are not seeing Krishna, and in their thoughts they are seeing Krishna, Krishna is there. Although he's not there, he's still there. Why? Because Krishna is everywhere. So Krishna is everywhere, at the same time Krishna is not everywhere. Mat sthani sarva bhutani nacham hesu avasthita. So Krishna is everywhere, yet not everywhere.
Ruji, I'm sorry to interrupt in between. It is a name of bhava, like where both the bhava, separation and the this bhava is together, and that possessed by Radharani only. There is some name which simultaneously she perform both the things. It is happening because of that also. Mahaprabhu in the bhava of Radharani, so he has both the quality together with the Krishna and in the separation of Krishna. All is happening together simultaneously. It must be. I am not able to recall the name of that bhava which Radharani only.
It's called Madana ka bhav, I think, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
So, see, main thing is when we are separate from someone and we're absorbed in the thought of that person, the thought of that person and the person himself is different. That is the problem with the relative world. But in the absolute world, when I'm in thought of some person, I am with that person. So that is how spiritual truths are different from the material truths which we perceive. Krishna was there with Radharani, and a bumblebee came there, roaming around Krishna and Radharani. Madhumangal happened to chase away bumblebee, and he said that I have chased away Madhusudan. And Radharani was like, oh, you chased away Madhusudan. Krishna was next to Radharani, and Radharani started crying. And seeing Radharani crying, Krishna started crying. And both of their tears collected together and made this Prem Sarovar. Now whether Radharani is with Krishna or separate from Krishna. So when Radharani is feeling that power of separation, she is more with Krishna than being personally with Krishna. So in the absolute world, Naam, Roop, Gud, Leela, thought, everything is same. Whereas in this material world, things are different. And that's why the confusion comes is, are they with Krishna or not with Krishna? So when somebody is not with Krishna and absorbed in Krishna, he is still with Krishna. What to say of Krishna Prem, even at the level of Raganuga Bhakti, when this verse comes, Tishtan Vrajeta Tadanugami Jananugami. Sujeev Goswami writes there, one is a physical presence in the dham, another is mental absorption in the dham. And mental absorption in dham is more important than the physical presence of the dham. So that means physical mental absorption is more residing in the dham than the physical is residing in the dham. So I hope I confused you more.
No, Prabhuji, it's much more clearer now. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Clear.
Hare Hare. Now, can we continue with the remaining verse, last one?
Hare Krishna. Yes, Rasvilas Prabhuji, would you like to continue?
Yes.
As the material elements enter the bodies of all living beings and yet remain outside them all, I exist within all material creations and yet am not within them.
Please continue.
A highly elevated devotee can bind me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his heart by love. Wherever he looks, he sees me and nothing else. Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who destroys everything inauspicious for his devotees, does not leave the hearts of his devotees, even if they remember him and chant about him inattentively. This is because the rope of love always binds the Lord within the heart's devotees. Such devotees should be accepted as most elevated.
Yeah. So actually speaking, love doesn't depend only even on concentration. Now this is not the recommend for a sadhaka. Because our love is somewhere else. So we are supposed to be attentive. But those who have love, even if they're inattentive, they are with Krishna. Yes, please continue.
A person advanced in devotional service sees within everything the soul of souls, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. Consequently, he always sees the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the cause of all causes and understands that all things are situated in him.
Please continue.
All the gopis assembled to chant the transcendental qualities of Krishna very loudly, and they began to wander from one forest to another like mad women. They began to inquire about the Lord, who is situated in all living entities, internally and externally. Indeed, they even asked all the plants and vegetables about him, the Supreme Person. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, thus one's relationship with the Lord, activities in devotional service, and the attainment of the highest goal of life, love of Godhead, are the subject matters of Srimad Bhagavatam. The absolute truth is known by the self-realized souls as a unified identity known by different names: impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah, so now something else is coming. It's like Tattva. But this is the explanation of Catuh Sloki Bhagvatam. So basically Catuh Sloki Bhagvatam discusses about Sambandh, Avideh and Prayojan Tattva. So Sambandh is that Lord was before creation, at the time of creation, at the end of creation, and Lord is everywhere. That is the Sambandh. Sambandh means we are also energy of Lord. So whole creation consists of Lord and Lord's energy, and we are also energy of Krishna. So that is our relationship with Krishna. Krishna is Purusha and we are Prakriti. We are part and parcel of Krishna. So that's Sambandh. Avidya is re-establish that love for Krishna by practice of devotion service. And so we have to practice by inquiring about Krishna and connecting everything with Krishna. And the provision is, when we are connected with Krishna, means we see Krishna everywhere. See, now on a practical level, I would just give one last answer. So what Prabhupada would say about that love is, if your love for Krishna means, we will automatically see how a particular thing can be engaged in Krishna service. Like now, once Prabhupada saw that flatbread truck, and then Prabhupada said, we would use this truck in Krishna service. We would say, how can we use? And Prabhupada said, we can have Rath Yatra. So that was the first Rath Yatra. And in this way, no, he would see everything and say, we'll use this for Krishna service, that for Krishna service. And devotee would say, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. And once Prabhupada saw a dog, and he said, oh, we'll use this for Krishna service. And devotee said, Jai Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada said, how will we use it for Krishna service? And they were like looking at each other. Prabhupada said that, don't you become like a brainless person. So don't just say, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. You should use your brains also. So that is like the vision of a pure devotee. So he sees Krishna everywhere, means everywhere he looks, he sees how I will use these things for Krishna service. Although previously the general tendency, whenever we look here and there, we have a tendency to see how I would use everything for my sense gratification. So that vision is changed. So love means now no more for sense gratification, love is for serving Krishna. So that is the change. Okay. So now we'll go to the last chapter or second canto. Yes. 10 characteristics of the Purana. We learn the 10 characteristics. So this verse talks about 10 characteristics which make a Purana into a Mahapurana. Mahapurana has all these 10 characteristics. Sri Sukha Uvacha Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanam Utayah Manvantare Katha Nirodho Muktirasrayah. Please read the translation.
Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 10 divisions of statements regarding the following: the creation of the universe, subcreation, planetary systems, protection by the Lord, the creative impetus, the changes of Manus, the science of God, returning home, back to Godhead, liberation, and the Samam Bhonam.
So these 10 topics are Sarga. Sarga is the primary creation done by Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu, all the 3 Vishnus, creation done by them is called Sarga. Then there is sub-creation done by Brahma. That's called Visarga. So the creation of Brahma is called Visarga and creation done by 3 Vishnu is called Sarga. Then there is Sthanam. Sthanam means how things are kept in their sthan, their positions. So that's our planetary systems. So like we have great deal of planetary systems in the 5th canto. Then there is Poshanam. Poshanam means how Lord protects his devotees. So that's Poshanam. Then Utaya, Uti. Uti means impetus to work. So the creative impetus is given in Utaya. Then Manvantar, Manu Antar. How there are different changes in Manu, and in every Manu there are different Manvantar avatars, Saptarisis, Manu, sons of Manu, etc. So they all are described in Manvantar. Because even the demigods, they are the post, and they change in every Manvantar. So Indra, Chandra, Vayu, Varun, all these different demigods, their posts change in every Manu. So in one day of Brahma, the cabinet of demigods changes 14 times. So that is Manvantar. Then there is Isanu Katha. Isanu Katha means the science of God. So different avatars are explained in Isanu Katha. Like in 9th canto, you will find so many avatars of the Lord are explained. Then Nirodha means destruction, how one goes back, returning home back to Godhead. That is Nirodha. So that's more in the 12th canto. Then there's Mukti, how to get liberated. That knowledge is given in the 11th canto. And Asraya is the Asraya Tattva, which is the highest truth. That is explained in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Asraya Tattva. So these 10 particular topics are required to make a Puran into a Mahapuran. Otherwise, it is called Upapuran. So there are Puranas and there is Mahapuran. Dasamasya visuddhyartham navanam iha lakshanam varnayanti mahatmanaha srute narthena chanjasa. Please read the translation.
To isolate the transcendence of summum bonum, the symptoms of the rest are described sometimes by Vedic inference, sometimes by direct explanation, and sometimes by summary explanations given by the great sages. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So the transcendence of summum bonum, how summum bonum, the highest truth is beyond. So by Vedic inference or by direct explanation, sages describe what is the Asraya Tattva, summum bonum. So Dasamasya visuddhyartham. So like Prabhupada has given us Krishna book, which is summary of the 10th canto. So that describes what Asraya Tattva. Bhutamatendriya dhiyam janma sarga udahritah brahmano godavya samyat visarga paurusaha smritah. Please read the translation.
The elementary creation of 16 items of matter, namely the 5 elements fire, water, land, air, and sky, sound, form, taste, smell, touch, and the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, and mind, is known as sarga, whereas subsequent resultant interaction of the modes of material nature is called visarga.
So as we had explained, creation of 24 elements done by Mahavishnu is called sarga, and even Garbhodaksa Vishnu also. And the resultant interaction by modes, which are done by Brahmaji, he mixed all the elements and made the bodies of different species. So they are all called Visarga. So Sarga and Visarga. Sthirvaikuntha Vijayah Poshanam Tad Anugraha Manvantrani Sadar Dharma Utaya Karma Vasana. Please read.
The right situation for the living entities to be obey the law of the Lord and thus be in perfect peace of mind under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Manus and their laws are meant to give right direction in life, impulse for activity in the desire for fruitive work.
Actually, these 10 topics are explained one by one. So initially there is Sarga and Visarga. Sarga and Visarga are more explained in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd canto also. So they are nicely explained there. Atra Sarga Visargasya Sthanam Poshanam Utaya. So Sthitir Vaikunta Vijayah. That means the right situation for living entities is to obey by the laws of God. And that is why Lord gives Poshanam. Poshanam is protection. He gives protection by his mercy, Tadanugraha. And then Manus are explained that in how different Manus, their descendants are ruling the world. They give the laws to give direction for living. So they're also explained, they're called Manvantara. And Utaya is the impetus. So Prabhupada would call it creative impetus. So impetus can be in Sattaguna, impetus can be in divine nature, demonic nature, mixed nature. So 7th canto describes a lot about this impetus. So initially there is a pastime of Prahlad Maharaj and Narsingh Dev. So Prahlad Maharaj is talking about divine nature. Hiranyakasipu is talking about, they talk about demonic nature. And the mixed nature is explained in the last 5 chapters of 7th canto, which describe about Varnashram Dharma. So those are human beings, they have a mixed nature of divine and demonic nature. So that is explained. So maybe I'll just explain first the 10 topics in Bhagavatam. So actually speaking, G. Goswami say that we should not say that this particular canto is talking about this one, other canto is talking about that one. Still, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has defined how different cantos explain about different things. So Atra Sarga and Visarga. So Sarg means primary creation, Visarga means secondary creation. So if we see first canto, it's more about introduction. It's introduction about what is the background, primary. Then first canto talks about introduction of who's a speaker, that's Sukdev Goswami, and Parishit Maharaj. His pastime is there. So the background is explained in the first canto. Now second canto of Bhagavatam talks about creation, primary creation, secondary creation. And even the third canto of Bhagavatam talks about that. Second and third canto of Bhagavatam, they explain more about primary and secondary creation, Sarga and Visarga. And then there is Sthanam. Sthanam is more clearly, vividly there in 5th canto. So 5th canto talks about planetary systems. How different planetary systems are there in different places. Then 6th canto is about Poshanam. Poshanam means how Lord protects and nourishes his devotees. Poshan literally means nourishment. So that is explained by from the pastime of Ajamila and onwards in the 6th canto. So we see that how Lord protected Ajamila when he spoke Narayan 3 times. And then there is pastime of Chitraketu Maharaj. So Chitraketu Maharaj was supposed to take long time to come to the Lord, but Lord nourished his devotion by helping him to meet the curse of Parvati. So he became a demon, Vitrasur, and came to the Lord within one life. So that's how Lord speeded the ascent of Chitraketu Maharaj. So that's more in the 6th canto. And 7th canto talks more about Utayaha, Uti. Uti means different types of creative impetus. So Hiranyakasipu talks about demonic impetus. Prahlad is about totally divine impetus. And Varnashram is mixed impetus. So that's 7th canto. Manvantar, different Manus and their Manvantar avatars, they're explained in the 8th canto. Isanu Katha is explained in the 9th canto. Isanu Katha means different incarnations, 9th canto. Then comes Nirodho. Nirodho means basically destruction. So that's more explained in the 12th canto. 12th canto talks about the great Kali Yuga and destruction of this world, etc. Mukti. Mukti is the liberation, and that's more vividly explained in the 11th canto. And Asra Tattva, the Samambonam, is the 10th canto. So that is how Chakravarti Pasi that there are these 10 topics that are described. So if that's clear, do you have any question on that regard? So then we can just move to these verses of Bhagavatam. So I think it will be, these verses will be more clear now. Avataranujaritam hareschasanuvartinam pumsam isa katha prokta nana khyanopabrahmita. Please read the translation.
The science of God describes the incarnations of the personality of Godhead and his different activities together with the activities of his great devotees.
So Lord's activities, incarnations, and their devotees, their activities are explained in Isanukatha, Isa Katha Prokta. And then now comes some Nirodha. Nirodha and Mukti, that is explained in 6th verse. Nirodho Sanusayanam Atmana Sah Saktibihi Muktir Hitva Nayatha Rupam Sarupena Vyavastitihi. Prabhupada quotes this verse like anything. Please read.
The merging of the living entity. Yes, Prabhuji, please continue.
Merging of the living entity along with his conditional living tendency with the mystic lying down of the Mahavishnu is called the winding up of the cosmic manifestation. Liberation is the permanent situation of the form of the living entity after he gives up the changeable gross and subtle material bodies.
So as we were explaining, 12th canto talks about 4 types of destruction. Nitya pralay, namitik pralay, then Nitya, Namitik, Akantik, and okay, I forgot the third one. Yes, Prakritik, yes. Nitya, Namitik, Prakritik, and Atantik. So Nitya Pralaya is something which is happening every time, every moment we are changing bodies, every moment the world is changing. So that's called Nitya Pralaya. Then there is a Namitik Pralaya that happens at the end of day of Brahma. After that, there is Prakrit. Prakrit Pralaya means when the tenure of life of Brahma is finished, Mahavishnu inhales. So that is called Prakrit. And then there is the 4th one is called Atantik. Atantik means complete destruction. That happens for the living entities when he goes back to Godhead. For him, then the world exists no more. So these 4 types of pralaya are explained in the 12th canto. And 11th canto talks about liberation from gross and subtle bodies. That is explained by Krishna in Uddhav Gita mentioned in the 11th canto. So entire knowledge of entire creation is there in the 11th canto. Rather, Prabhupada himself, without commenting on 11th canto, because he departed before that for his eternal service to Krishna. So he has quoted so many verses of 11th canto, so many places. So many places. Because 11th canto is complete of knowledge. So that talks about liberation. Yes, Kirtita Vallavi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danavas Pranam. Prabhuji, thank you for pointing out types of pralaya. Prabhuji, I was looking for a name, like sometimes there is this partial pralaya when there is a manvantara change. Is there a name for that?
It's not given there because that is occasional, that's not like regular.
Okay.
So whenever,
I was looking for a Sanskrit name. Okay.
At least I didn't go through any name till now. If I go through, then I'll let you know. Because that happens only because after Chakshusa Manvantar, Matsya Avatar wanted to have pastimes, and Matsya Avatar has such a great size. So he says, no, ordinary oceans are not enough. So he wanted a pralaya, and that's why pralaya happened. So that's like occasional whenever Lord wants to come. Otherwise, there's no pralaya at the changes of Manvantar. So good question. Now about Asra Tattva. आभासस्य निरोधस्य यतो अस्ति अध्यसीयते Sa asraya param brahma paramatmeti sabdyate. Please read the translation.
The Supreme One, who is celebrated as the Supreme Being or the Supreme Soul, is the supreme source of the cosmic manifestation as well as its reservoir and winding up. Thus, he is the Supreme Fountainhead, the Absolute Truth. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So the Supreme Being, Super Soul, with the main source of cosmic manifestation. So that's Krishna. So he's called the Asra Tattva because he's the shelter of all material world, spiritual world, and all the avatars also. So he's the Asra of avatars also. Now, 8th one. Yo adhyatmiko ayam purusaha so asav avadhi devikaha यस तत्रो भय विच्छेदः पुरुषो हि आदि भौतिकः. Please read the translation.
Hare Krishna. The individual person possessing different instruments of senses is called the Adhyatmic person, and the individual controlling deity of the senses is called Adidaiva. The embodiment seen on the eyeballs is called the Adibhautik person. Hare Krishna.
So these three things are there: Adhyatm, Adibhut, Adidev. And all interactions are because of these three things. Adhyatm means the senses, and senses are made up of mode of passion. That's why senses in actuality they have a desire to enjoy. So that's Adhyatma. Adibhut is the sense objects. Like for example, for eye, there has to be something to see. Unless there are instruments to see, what will I see? So eye is required to see. Sense objects are required to see. Then apart from that, there is third thing, that is Adi Deva. That is the controlling deity. So controlling deity for the eye is Suryadev, sun god. So my senses are made of mode of passion. Sense objects are made of mode of ignorance. They consist of five material elements. And sense devastas consist of mode of goodness. So in this way, those who are intelligent people, they understand that all things are created by three modes of material nature. By interactions of senses like eye, sense objects like things to see, and the presiding deity of eye, that is Suryadev, sun god. So when sun god sanctions to see, we have eye to see, and there are sense objects to see, only then we can see. And as I was explaining, eyes are in mode of passion, sense objects are in mode of ignorance, and sun god is in mode of goodness. So in this way, by three modes of material nature, this whole world is getting governed. But those who don't see that, they are called ahankar vimodatma kartahamiti mannate. So such a person is called a fool because out of ahankar he sees who's seeing, I am seeing. Although the function of seeing is being carried away by or carried out by these three modes of material nature. So I hope I'm able to explain this. Adhyatma, Adibhut, Adidev. And that's true for all the senses. Like for example, for ears are required. Some sound is required. And the presiding deity of ears is Dig Devtas, demigods of directions. So all three, when they are mixed together, we can hear. So for seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, we need all these three: Adhyatma, Adibhut, Adidev. So that's explained in this verse. Ekam ekatara bhave yada nopalabhamahe titiyam tatra yo veda sa atma asrayasrayah. Please read.
All three of above mentioned stages of different living entities are interdependent. In the absence of one, another is not understood. But the Supreme Being who sees every one of them as the shelter of the shelter is independent of all. Therefore, he is the supreme shelter.
All three of the above mentioned stages of different living entities are independent. In absence of one, another is not understood, but the Supreme Being who sees every one of them as the shelter of independent of all. So that means we are dependent on all three, as I was explaining. Adhyatma, Adibhut, Adidev, all three are required for living entities to function. But Lord doesn't care for that. Lord is not dependent on that. Lord is independent. So we are dependent on three modes for our function in this world. And we are dependent on three internal energies of the Lord. Sandhini, Samit, Ladini, for functioning in the spiritual world. But as far as Lord is concerned, he's Shaktiman. He is independent of everything. So either we are under three modes of material nature, or we are under three internal energies of Krishna. So either external energy or internal energy, but ultimately both of them are Krishna's energy. So for Krishna, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. So I hope I'm clear. Okay, so we'll move ahead. Now 10 to 35 talks about Sarga. As we are explained, Sarga is primary creation. So there was a question regarding Virat Roop, creation of Virat Roop. And that answer is given in 2.8.11. So Andam Vinir. So okay, till now there is talk about 10 topics. Now the topic is more about Virat Roop. Puruso Andam Vinir Yada so sa Vinirgataha Atmano Ayanam Anvichan Apo Asrak Chit Suchi Suchihi. Please read.
After separating the different universes, the gigantic universal form of the Lord Mahavishnu, which came out of the causal ocean, the place of appearance for the first Purush Avatara, entered into each of the separate universes, desiring to lie on the created transcendental water, Garbhodaka.
So Mahavishnu, as we are explaining, so we'll just explain one by one, maybe very concisely. Initially, we find that Mahavishnu was lying down on Karan ocean, and then from his sweat, this Karan ocean was found. And this ocean is called causal ocean because it's cause of all the universes. And also this particular Prakriti, which is called Pradhan, was unmanifest. Mahavishnu glances on it. From Pradhan comes Mahatattva. And then Mahatattva begins to function. And Mahatattva is divided into three portions. Mahatattva in goodness, Mahatattva in passion, that is called Sutra Tattva, and Mahatattva in ignorance, that is called Ahankar. Ahankar again has three portions in prime: Sattva-guna, Rajaguna, Tamaguna. And from these Ahankar and three gunas, 24 main elements emerge. Now these 24 elements had their presiding deities. They beautifully pray to the Lord, saying that we are not able to mix with each other. And then Lord sends his coagulating potency. How can they come together and coagulate? And from then, when they mix together, then the causal ocean is formed of 24 elements mixed together. After that, Mahavishnu, from each of his pore, comes one universe. And in each of these universe, Mahavishnu enters as Garbhodaksha Vishnu, which is very dark and hot. Because of his sweat of Lord comes, It doesn't come the way our sweat comes out. Lord has so much sweat that the half of the universe is filled with the sweat. And that is explained in this particular verse. Okay. Now further we'll go. Tasavat sit swasishtasu sahasram parivatsaran tena narayano nama yadapaha purusodbhava. Please read.
The Supreme Person is not impersonal and therefore is distinctively a Nara or person. Therefore, the transcendental water created from the Supreme Nara is known as Nara. And because he lies down on that water, he is known as Narayana.
So Nar is a person because Lord is a person, and he is called Purusa because he is the actual enjoyer. So Nara, from him the water comes out, is called Nara. And when Lord lies down on that water, Ayan is called lying down. So then the word formed is Narayana. So that is how the word Narayan comes. So you'll find actually Lord Chaitanya would call Advaita as Nara, Nara, Nara. He would become angry and he would say Nara. When Advaita started explaining the Mayavad philosophy to get beaten up by Lord Chaitanya, there is a beautiful pastime. So that time he would call him Nara, Nara. So Nara means basically the water coming from Narayan. Dravyam karma cha kalascha sabhavo jiva eva cha yad anugrahatah santi na santi yad pekshaya. Please read.
One should definitely know that all material ingredients, activities, time, and modes, and the living entities who are meant to enjoy them all exist by his mercy only. And as soon as he does not care for them, everything becomes non-existent.
So it's by mercy of the Lord that everything exists. And if he doesn't care for them, they become non-existent. So even for our sense gratification and activities and everything, practically we are dependent on the Lord. Even the doers have mentality, I will do this, I will do that, during creation. So in Karta Bhav comes during creation only. So that's how we are dependent on Krishna for everything.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in the previous verse, the verse that we just read, the living entities that are there in the translation, that is referring to the material bodies of the living entities, right? Not the spiritual bodies, right?
No, you are talking about enjoying or you are talking about living entities?
So it says one should definitely know that all material modes and the living entities, right? So that and the living entities, is that referring to the material body of the living entity or the soul?
Okay, so one should definitely know that all material ingredients, time and modes and living entities who are meant to enjoy them exist by his mercy only. See, we can talk that about living entities also. It's not that living entities are eternal, certainly they're eternal, but who made them eternal? It's Krishna only, na?
But the making means that they were not there at some time, right? I mean, if you say it eternal, then the question of making does not arise, right?
Okay. See, when we talk about time factor, things go in a different dimension. Right? See, when we, I think you were there in Bhakti Sastri also, no? When we had in Mayapur Institute.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think so. We had this discussion there also. So when it comes to time factor, in spiritual world, there's no time factor because time can go move forward or return. So it can go both the ways. So we can go ahead of time, we can go behind the time. So there's no question of past, present, and future. So that's why there's no question of or no one-dimensional flow of time in the spiritual world, which is like there in the material world. So that's why the question comes is, can we trace the past? No. Can we trace the future? So all these things come into picture. So when we are saying Lord has caused us to be eternal, what it means is it's Lord's energy. We are Lord's energies.
Right.
So we are Lord's energies means energy is dependent on energetic.
Correct.
So although energetic is eternal, energy is eternal, but still energy is dependent on energetic.
Right.
So in that sense, we are dependent on Krishna for everything.
Right.
So both for existence as well as for enjoyment.
Okay.
Okay.
No, so because when I read this statement, I mean, I can understand about the material world. When he doesn't care, everything gets it goes back into the body of Mahavishnu. It becomes non-manifest. But when I think of the spirit soul, so does this statement mean that if Krishna does not care about us, then we will become non-existent. We will no longer exist. Is that what it means?
That's possible, but Lord doesn't do that. See, Prabhupada would give a beautiful example. He would say that these hands and legs are compared to different avatars of the Lord. So they're not different from Krishna. But hairs are compared to like living entities. So hairs can't grow if body is not there. So in this way, we are dependent on Krishna. Unless until Krishna is there, we can't exist. So although we are eternal, but that aspect of eternity is eternally awarded by the Supreme Lord. The eternal aspect of eternity is eternally awarded by the Supreme Lord.
Okay.
Okay. So in that sense, we can say we are dependent.
I see. Okay, Prabhuji. It's a little beyond. I mean, I guess.
See what actually happens is, let me be truthful. For us, we have a tendency
Self-centric.
to limit the things. We're trying to limit the things. Okay, Krishna is God, but how can there has to be something which is beyond Krishna also?
Yeah.
So there should be some living entities, at least their eternity aspect has to be beyond Krishna. How can we be so much dependent on Krishna that even the eternity aspect we depend on Krishna? But at least spiritual world is eternal means it's eternal anyway, whether Krishna is giving it eternity or not, it's supposed to be eternal. So we have a tendency of that sort. That's why we want to keep Krishna separate. Yeah. And we want to see things, there's something which is like beyond control of Krishna. So not only you, it's like a natural tendency for all living entities. And that's why these things, they ring in the mind many times. So Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas, they say, yes, we have all the aspects, those spiritual aspect and material aspects, but for both the aspects, we are dependent on Krishna. That's explained in the 3 Sloki Shastra, which we discussed in Bhagavad Gita, in my book. Yes. So there's Chara, there's Akshara, and there's Supreme Lord, who's called Purushottam, who is controller of both Chara and Akshara. So Chara means living entities in this world, Akshara means living entities in the spiritual world. But whether in material world or spiritual world, we are totally dependent on Krishna. And that dependence is not that dependence of, oh my God, I have to depend on Krishna. It's a dependence of love. It's a dependence of love.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Really.
Krishna Prabhuji, this is a very interesting 2 words you've applied: eternality awarded. So you try, so conceptually, can that be retrieved?
Conceptually, it's possible, but Lord
like the matter, presence of matter,
yes,
pushes towards becoming a matter.
Yes, I understood. So that can be done, but Lord doesn't do it. So although that can be done, but Lord doesn't do it. That's how we understand things. Like Prabhupada writes in one of the purports that when a person falls from Brahman, generally he turns into gems. You have gems?
Oh, wow. Where is this reference, Prabhuji? This is interesting.
This is something I heard from Bhakti Charu Maharaj, and he was referring to
I
some
heard that when
Prabhupada's
we,
class.
okay, I heard that when we fall, we first come to the Brahma position.
No, that's for those who want to enjoy this world. But for those who are Brahmavadis and they start thinking, oh, this is eternal place, and they are frustrated with this peace, and they come down.
Mhm.
For them, Prabhupada, I think I saw it in one excerpt also after hearing from Bhakti Charu Maharaj. I saw it in a folio. So that Prabhupada says that now one turns into gems. So from highest to the lowest level of consciousness. So,
Beautiful, Prabhuji. You just opened another window in my head. Thank you.
really. So that means Lord can make him a person almost like inert. Although his soul, but almost like inert. Eko nanatvam anvichan yogat talpat samuttitah Viryam hiranmayam devo mayaya vyasrajatritha. Please read the translation.
Hare Krishna. The Lord, while lying on his bed of mystic slumber, generated the seminal symbol, golden in hue, through external energy out of his desire to manifest varieties of living entities from himself alone. Hare Krishna.
So when Mahavishnu glanced, he impregnated the material nature with Kal, Karma, Swabhav. So Kal is the eternal time, that is Mahavishnu. And Karma and Swabhav are the past activities of the living entities before destruction. And Swabhav is their nature. So according to Swabhav, they get a body, subtle body basically. And according to Karma, they get a gross body. And then they are allowed to enjoy. But they don't get body immediately. So immediately they enter in the universe, and then they remain as a golden hue, which is called Hiranyamaya. So it's a golden hue. Hiranyagarbha also it's sometimes called. Hiranmayam Devo. So that's a golden hue which is combination of all the living entities. And then these living entities, they enter in the body of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. From the navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu comes lotus flowers. That lotus flower consists of all the living this metal elements as well as the living entities. And then when Brahmaji creates bodies for them, then this Hiranyamayu Devo, the combination of all the living entities, they start depleting and they start getting new bodies. So that is done by Brahmaji. So here in this verse it is said that how this Hiranyamaya Devo, which is basically seminal form of Mahavishnu, which consists of living entities. So like a father, through the semen particle, he gives bodies to the living entities. It enters in the mother's womb and gets a different body. Similarly, living entities, they enter from Mahavishnu through his glands. Glands is compared to semen. And then it gets the body from material nature, made up of 24 elements. So material nature becomes the mother, and this particular Mahavishnu becomes the father. Another way of looking at it is that living entities also get a body according to Ahankar. Ahankar means false ego. And Lord Shiva is representation of false ego. So Shiva Bhakta says that Shiva is father and Parvati is mother. Because Parvati is material nature, Shiva is false ego. But from Vaishnava's point of view, even before Shiva comes Mahavishnu, because Shiva is glance of Mahavishnu. So that is how we call Mahavishnu as the eternal father. Yes, Kirtida Mataji.
Krishna Prabhuji, just a question. So when I was reading Brahma Samhita, that time when I was reading those first few verses in terms of this creation, so why isn't Rama Devi actually discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam, because in Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma is talking about her, like Lord Vishnu's glance has time, ego, and living entities. And through Rama Devi, then she invigorates or activates the sleeping material nature like a Mahamaya. So it's explained very nicely. Why isn't that discussed concept in Srimad Bhagavatam?
Okay. Actually speaking, creation is unlimited. So creation is so vast that nobody can fully describe creation. So creation is explained through different perspectives. Different perspectives. Like in this world also we find, when I was studying in IIT Kharagpur that time, one of my seniors, he did a PhD on a leg joint, knee joint in mechanical engineering. Somebody may wonder, no, what does mechanical engineering to do with the knee joint? But there is mechanical engineering in knee joint, there is chemical engineering in knee joint. Apart from biology, anyway, it is there. So we can have different functions. We can see same knee joint in different perspective. Similarly, creation can also be seen from different perspective. So Brahma Samhita talks about one perspective, and Srimad Bhagavatam talks about different perspective. And there are many entities involved in creation that are not even discussed also, these two scriptures. They may explain some different scripture or some other scripture. And that is the reason many times people have a confusion about who is supreme. So when Lord Shiva is given the prime importance in those scriptures, the false ego, Lord Shiva and Parvati, they are like, their role is given very vividly. Like in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, who is Advaita Achar? Advaita Achar is a special entity. It's not that no, he's Mahavishnu and Sadashiva mixed. It's not a mixture. So Advaita Achar is a person whose primary anga of Mahavishnu, who gives potency to the material nature to be a living entities, Upadan Karan. So Upadan means the potency to bear children. Like a barren woman cannot bear children, but a fertile woman can do. So similarly, Advaita Achar gives the potency to the material nature to be a living entities, so that they can get material bodies. So it's like a creation is vast. It's vast. It's huge. We can't expect that no everything is given everywhere. Things are given from different perspectives. I hope I'm able to answer your question.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much. And you just clarified on Advaita Acharya too with that. Thank you so much.
Adidevem adadhyatmam adibhutam iti prabhu athekam paurusam viryam tidhabhidyat tatshrinu. Please read.
Just hear from me how the potency of his lordship divides 1 into 3, called the controlling entities, the controlled entities, and the material bodies in the manner mentioned above.
Yeah. So in this way, if we find all these three things are coming, words are coming again. Adidevam, Adhyatmam, and Adibhutam. As we had explained, Adidevan are the controlling demigods, they are controlling entities. Then Adhyatmam is our senses, which are taken by living entities to enjoy. And Adibhutam consists of the sense objects. So, how they are divided would be explained now. Anta sarira akasat purusasya vacheshtatah ojasaho balam jagge tata prano mahanasuhu. Please read.
From the sky situated within the transcendental body of the manifesting Mahavishnu, sense energy, mental force, and bodily strength are all generated, as well as the sum total of the fountainhead of the total living force.
Okay. So from the sky situated within the body of Mahavishnu, what came out? Sense energy, mental force, and body strength. So that means from the gross element within the Mahavishnu, that is sky, Akash Tattva, comes sense energy, mental force, and bodily strength. So that is how from gross elements within the Lord, which are not gross, actually they're transcendental, all metal ingredients come out. So Lord is spiritual, but he's fountainhead of all metal elements also. Anuprananti yam pranaha pranantam sarve jantusu apanantam apananti naradevam ivanugaha. Please read.
As the followers of a king follow their lord, similarly, when the total energy is in motion, all other living entities move. When the total energy stops endeavoring, all other living entities stop sensual activities.
So like kings, when he moves, the entire army, generals, ministers, they move. When king stops, all these things stop. Similarly, when total energy is in motion, all other living entities move because they get the bodies. When the total energy of the Lord, the mental energy of the Lord stops endeavoring, sensual activities also stop, which generally happens at the end of life of Brahma. So things stop and living entities will stop. Okay. Now these verses, 17 onwards, I think you have read them before also. How which is more like a repetition, where from Virat Purusas a particular element comes out, and from that some other elements are generated. Right? I think it was there in 5th chapter or something like that. Bratadharpu, am I right?
Yes, Roji, yes, Roji, correct.
And these verses they explain. So the whole purpose of explaining all these things is we have to understand that for everything we are dependent on Krishna. For everything we depend on Krishna. So from a particular element in the body of Virat Purusa, some other elements are generated. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll read them quickly, but then I'll explain the summary at the end. So either in this class or in the next class, I'll give the summary of how things are generated. Please read 17th.
The living force being agitated by the Virat Purusa generated hunger and thirst, and when he desired to drink and eat, the mouth opened.
Actually, when Pran Vayu is powerful, so because of agitation of Pran Vayu, hunger and thirst is felt. So first it was generated in Virat Purusa, and because it was generated in Virat Purusa, he desired to drink and eat. His mouth opened, and that is why for all the living entities, the hunger and thirst came, and then we desire to drink and eat. So that means that desire to drink and eat also comes from Supreme Lord. Mukhatastalu nirbhinnam jivva tatropajayate tato nana raso jagge jivvaya yo adhigamyate. Please read.
From the mouth, read, Mother.
Carry on, Mother.
Carry on, Mother.
From the mouth, the palate became manifested, and thereupon the tongue was also generated. After this, all the different tastes came into existence, so that the tongue can relish them. Hare Krishna.
So in this way, there is Jivva and there is Talu. The gross tongue and the subtle tongue. So actual senses are there in the subtle body. Senses of gross body are just a covering on the subtle body. Like for example, we have spectacles which is made of glass, but actual seeing is done by the eyes. Similarly, actual eye or actual senses are there within the subtle body, and gross manifestation of those senses is just made up of five great elements: earth, water, air, fire, ether. In this way, there is jiva, and then there is talu. So both of them are there. So from the mouth, mukhatas, what came? Talu. Talu became manifest. And then comes tongue. Jiva tatropa jayate. Tato nana raso yagge jivaya adigamyate. And then comes the desire to taste something. So that is how from the elements of Mahavishnu, of Virat Roop, other elements come out. विवाक्षोर्मकतो भूम्नो वह निर्वाक व्याहृतम तयोः जले चैतस्य सुचिरम निरोधा समजायत. Please read.
When the Supreme desired to speak, speeches were vibrated from the mouth. Then the controlling deity, fire, was generated from the mouth. But when he was lying in the water, all these functions remained suspended.
So same thing is true about speech also. So from the mouth, the fire god was there, and then there was functions related to that. So fire god is considered to be the tongue of Virat Purusha. And this particular fire is related to the speaking potency of tongue. So tongue has two potencies: the tendency to taste and the tendency to talk. So tendency to taste is related to Varun Dev, the rasa, to taste. And the tendency to talk is related to Agni Dev. So when Agni is mand, then we can't speak properly. So that's why those who have pitta body, they speak more, but they can speak more. So because they have a higher fire element. Now 20th. Nasike nirhityetam doduhyati na bhasvati tatra vayur gandhavaho घ्राणो नसी जिगरक्षतः. Please read.
Thereafter, when the Supreme Purusha desired to smell odors, the nostrils and respiration were generated. The nasal instrument and odors came into existence, and the controlling deity of air carrying smell also became manifested.
So what I'll do is I'll just write one formula. And the problem is, like, no, we don't have so much of time for discussion. And sometimes that discussion also becomes too intellectual. So once I told discussion, devotees were appreciative, but they were too frustrated because it was too intellectual. So we will not analyze it. I just made a entire Excel sheet and I was explaining it. I thought that devotees will become very interested that we are able to put all the verses in this Excel sheet. But then devotees were not very happy. So I just write a sutra or formula how this particular thing works. So This example which we have done before also. Actually, second canto is very intellectual. So when Virat Roop desires something, from that comes gross sense objects or gross sense organ of Virat Roop. And from that gross sense organ comes the subtle sense organ of living entities and the sense devatas. So that is how from him comes Adhyatma and Adidev. And from that comes Tanmatras. Tanmatras are basically sense objects. Like for if eye, it is a form. For ears, it is sound. For skin, it is touch. For tongue, it is taste. And for nose, it is smell. So that is how from that comes Tanmatras. So like for example, when Virat Roop desired to eat, then came Talu. So Talu is basically gross sense organ of tongue. It's called Talu. And from Talu comes Jiva. Jiva is a subtle tongue, which is there in the subtle body. Along with that comes Varun Dev. And from Jiva and Varun Dev comes Rasa, the sense object of taste. It's like some sweet or some chutney, something like that. So they are called Rasa. So that is how the essence is that everything comes from Virat Roop only. And this same formula is explained in all the verses. But now I don't want to get into too much intellectual those things. So then we'll not enter, we'll just go through the verses. Yeah. So now maybe devotees can just read the translations. Please go through the translations.
Hare Krishna. Shloka 21, right, Prabhuji?
Yes, 21. Yes, ma'am.
Thus, when everything existed in darkness, the Lord desired to see himself and all that was created. Then the eyes, the illuminating God's Son, the power of vision, and the object of sight all became manifest. Hare Krishna.
So now in this particular, this Adhyatma, Adibhut and Adidev connected with seeing are explained. So how they generated, Lord desired to see, and when Lord desired to see, then the gross organ of seeing, that is Akshini, that was generated. And from that eye came the subtle object of seeing. That means living entities got their subtle bodies. So that's called Chakshu. From that came Sun God, the presiding deity. And from that also came the sense object to see, that is vision or form. So they all become manifest from Virat Roop. So from Virat Roop's gross body comes subtle body, the sense devatas, and the power and the sense objects, all three. Please continue.
Uh, 22. Yes, Mataji, please.
Thank you, Mataji. By development of the desire of the great sages to know, the ears, the power of hearing, the controlling deity of hearing, and the objects of hearing became manifested. The great sages desired to hear about the self. Hare Krishna.
So from Virat Roop came the great sages, and then they desired to know. Then came ears, power of hearing, control deity of hearing. Adhyatma, Adibhut, Adidev. All they became manifest. So please continue.
Sorry, Prabhuji, here what self denotes?
Self here denotes to both small self, soul, and capital self means super soul. because soul and super soul are revealed through hearing, Shruti. So that's why that is explained. Please continue.
When there was a desire to perceive the physical characteristics of matter, such as softness, hardness, warmth, cold, lightness, and heaviness, the background of sensation, the skin pores, the hairs on the body, and their controlling deities, the trees, were generated. Within and outside the skin is a covering of air through which sense perception became prominent.
So this is talking about how Adhyatma, Adibhut and Adideva touch came. So it came when Lord Viratru wanted to feel touch. Then these things got manifest. Hasta Ruru Hatastasya Nana Karma Kirsaya Kayostu Balavan Indra Adanam Ubhayasramayam. Read.
Thereafter, when the Supreme Person desired to perform varieties of work, the two hands and their controlling strength, and Indra, the demigod in heaven, became manifested, as also the acts dependent on both the hands and the demigod.
So in this way, how now, so till now what were discussed was Jnanendriyas, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, touch, skin, etc. And in the previous verse and in this verse, what is explained is so in this verse, Indra is explained, who is the demigod for work or hands. So that's talking about Karmendriyas. Karmendriyas are the work, are the Indriyas by which we perform work. Jnanendriyas are the Indriyas by which we perceive. We perceive the outside world. So this is talking about Karmendriyas. Please read 25.
Thereupon, because of his desiring to control movement, his legs became manifested, and from the legs, the controlling deity named Vishnu was generated. By his personal supervision of this act, all varieties of human beings are busily engaged in dutiful occupational sacrifice.
Yes. So in this way, the legs became manifest, and the Adhyatma, Adibhut and Adideva legs became manifest when Virat Roop desired to control the movements. Further, please read 26th.
Thereupon, for sexual pleasure, begetting offspring and tasting heavenly nectar, the Lord developed the genitals, and thus there is the genital organ and its controlling deity, the Prajapati. The object of sexual pleasure and the controlling deity are under the control of the genitals of the Lord.
So the controlling deity of sex organ is Prajapati, like Daksha, etc. So they are Adhyatma, sorry, not Adhyatma, Adideva. So Adhyatma, Adidev and Adibhut for sexual pleasures become manifest because Virat Roop desired so. So for that also we are dependent on Virat Roop. Please continue.
Thereafter, when he desired to evacuate the refuse of eatables and the evacuating holes, anus, and the sensory organs thereof developed along with the controlling deities Mitra, the sensor organ, and the evacuating substance are both under the shelter of the controlling deity.
When he desired to evacuate, we got the organ to evacuate. We got the something to evacuate within our system, and we also got the controlling deity to evacuate. That's Mitra. So they all become manifest because Lord wanted to evacuate. Please continue.
Thereafter, when he desired to move from one body to another, the navel and the air of the departure and the death were combinedly created. The navel is the shelter of both, namely death and the separating force.
So when the Lord wanted to move from one body to another, like we have transmigration, so then the navel, the air of departure, etc., they became manifest. So navel is the first one to get generated in the body, and navel is the last one to go off. That's why when the departure of a person takes place, you'll find that these pujaris, they take the navel and they put it in the mud and they put it in Ganga. So that is the only one which doesn't go away, the navel. So they have relationship with Vayu, Pran Vayu, which takes subtle body from one body to another body. So that also was manifest because Virat Rup wanted to move from one body to another. So this also came from Virat Rup. Please continue.
Whenever there was a desire to have food and drink, the abdomen and the intestines and also the articularies become manifested. The rivers and the sea are the source of their substance in metabolism.
So Lord wanted to have food and drink. So for us came the senses which hold food and drink, that is abdomen and intestine. And then the river, seas, which are the demigods for intestine, they become manifest. That's why Prabhupada writes that somebody has problem with abdomen and intestine, mid-digestion, etc. They should take bath in river and seas. So people would generally do and get free from the diseases. Next one.
When there was a desire to think about the activities of his own energy, then the heart, the seat of the mind, the moon, determination, and all desire became manifested.
So Lord wanted to desire, then mind comes, because we think through mind, and the demigod of mind is moon. He can become manifest. So Adhat Madhibhut Adidev for desiring got manifest. Yes, please continue. We'll continue to 35. Somebody can read from 31 to 35.
Okay, the 7 elements of the body, namely the thin layer of the skin itself, the flesh, blood, fat, marrow, and bone, are all made of earth, water, and fire, whereas the life breath is produced by the sky, water, and air. The sense organs are attached to the modes of material nature, and the modes of material nature are products of the false ego. The mind is subjected to all kinds of material experiences, happiness and distress, and intelligence is the feature of the mind's deliberation. Thus, by all this, the external feature of the personality of Godhead is covered by gross forms, such as those of planets, which are explained to you by me. Therefore, beyond this, gross manifestation is a transcendental manifestation, finer than the finest form. It has no beginning, no intermediate stage, and no end. Therefore, it is beyond the limits of expression or mental speculation and is distinct from the material conception. Neither of the above forms of the Lord, as just described unto you from the material angle of vision, is accepted by the pure devotees of the Lord who know him well.
Thank you. So these all were the forms of Virat Rup. And whose Virat Rup? Virat Rup is like a blueprint for the creation of this world. So the whole blueprint was given before to Brahma, and Brahma was supposed to just put things on the right place. So he would put things in the right place. Even these Gurukulis of Mayapur, when they do this yagya, they say that now we are putting things in the right place for in Virat Rup. So this was performed daily by Grahasthas in the previous ages. So they were trained like that. And now we are not trained, so we have chanting of Hare Krishna. So that's enough for us. So that is how this Virat Rup, from him only all the universe came out. So what is explained here is that Virat Rup is that subtle form of the entire universe, which is gross. So that blueprint is Virat Rup, which is expansion of ultimately Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So his form is explained here. And again, it is explained that after explaining everything, it is explained that he is very subtle. So very difficult to understand. So then we'll talk about subsequent creation, that is Visarga, in the next class. We'll stop here.
Prabhuji, Prabhuji, very quick query. So I'm a bit confused, Prabhuji. So the Virat Roop we are talking about is a form of Mahavishnu, Prabhuji, or it is in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains Virat Roop, which has sun and moon as the eyes. So which Virat Roop are you referring to here, Prabhuji? I'm very confused now.
See, we are talking about Virat Roop who comes after creation of Brahma also. Not, I won't say after creation of Brahma, it's like just before Brahma. So we were talking about Mahavishnu. From his pores comes one universe. Mahavishnu enters as Garbhodaksha Vishnu in each universe. He starts sweating. From his navel comes the lotus flower. And his another expansion is Virat Roop, which actually is a subtle form of the universe. And Brahmaji, it's like before making a building, we are given the blueprint of the building. Right? We have this whole map, which generally these constructors they show. So similarly, Virat Roop is like that blueprint, which ultimately manifestation of the Lord only. And that blueprint is given to Brahmaji to put things on the proper place. So that's Virat Roop. So he comes after Garbhodaksha Vishnu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Prabhuji is, thank you, Prabhuji. Virat Roop and Vishwaroop, are they fungible, like interchangeably used?
Okay, so see the darshan which Lord gave to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, it was Virat Roop and Kal Roop both. So it was not just Virat Roop, it was also Kala Roop. So Arjuna could see things which were miles away and which were miles in size in one pore of the body of Krishna. So that is like Krishna restricted the space factor. So things which need a lot of space, Krishna restricted in small space only. And then Arjuna was also able to see things which happened in the past, which will happen in the future and the current at the same time. In this way, Krishna showed his control over time to Arjuna. That's called Kalru. So that combined form was shown to Arjuna by Krishna. So Lord says that things are unlimited in the universe, but you see what you wish to see. So it's not like something which is limited. Arjuna saw what he wanted to see, but things are much beyond than that. So in this way, Virat Roop is huge, unlimited, and Arjuna saw whatever he wanted to see. So
Thank you, Prabhuji. Is there a reference to the Rupa also which Lord Krishna showed Mother Yashoda? Is it called Vishwarupa?
Yes, it is called universal form, but we will see that now even each one of them are pretty unique. So Mother Yashoda, what she saw is she saw that whole universe, entire universe is within the body of Krishna, and she herself is inside that body of Krishna, and along with this Krishna again. So Krishna is again inside. Krishna has universe inside him, which is Krishna, which has universe inside him, and which is Krishna. So something very mystical. So that was seen by Mother Yashoda, but it was not exactly like the way Arjuna saw. Arjuna wanted to see whether I will lose or win. Then he saw this Kal Roop engulfing Karna, Bhishma, and all these great warriors in his mouth. So certainly, I don't think so. Like no, Mother Yashoda would like to.
He saw the sweet form, I guess.
It was not huge. It was like huge, but it had no effect on Mother Yashoda. She thought, no, my Lala has some disease, and what is going on in his mouth? So she was not affected by the.
Prabhuji, what about the Rupa that Lord Krishna showed in the Sabha and Hastinapur?
Okay,
that is also visual.
But that's a different type. That means what it meant is Lord is everywhere. So that's why Duryodhana, he wanted to bind Krishna. But when you are saying binding means he's inside something, and previously he was outside something. But Lord is inside everything, outside everything, at the same time between everything. He wanted to keep Krishna inside the prison, but Krishna is inside the prison, outside the prison, between the prison. And whole prison is inside Krishna. So it's like he was confused by seeing all those different things. So that was a bit different. So that is how, yes, that was a bit different.
Sorry, Bratadhara Prabhuji, I'm sorry to cut in. I had a question. Are you done with your question?
Yes, Madhya, I'm done with it. Yes.
Okay. So, Prabhuji, when you were talking about this is awesome, right? So when you were saying that people Brahmavads falling into gem state and all that. So, like I've been searching for references, and this sort of now like fits in. And under 8.4 million species, I was thinking, how come souls are taking on the form of mountains and rivers? And it is explained, right? And like Govardhana Hill and all that. It is there in our scriptures, but it is not anywhere in the 8.4 million species. So I asked this question to many people: where do these forms come from, right? So does that explain it?
See, that means
Souls
they may
taking
be a
on
part.
matter form.
No, see, they may be a part of it 1.4 million species, because the clarity and the definition of species is not also very clear to us. So the way we define species in the medical science is not bit different, quite different from what is explained in the Vedic scriptures. So we are not like very clear about it. What we know is it's dependent on level of consciousness. Like demigods can also be considered to be in a part of human species, because they have a human-like bodies. So that may count in mountains also, or may not count.
I thought, Prabhuji, okay, I was counting them as part of 400,000 human species. The Gandharvas, Apsaras, Pishachas and all. Aren't they?
No, they are not. There's a different definition, there's a different definition. So the way we define 8.4 million species, it's different. Otherwise, how we'll have, 400,000 types of species of human forms? That means that more dependent on not just physical features, but more dependent on level of consciousness.
So, okay, I know we will come to this in the third canto, because we've studied the third canto. The thing is, Prabhuji, I understand the sense controlling devatas, they come from the Lord. But the remaining demigods, I thought they fall under the 400,000 species. Like in the third canto, they were explaining the 4 types, like which Lord Brahma is creating. So the plants,
yes, they would come.
beasts.
They would come. Yes, you are right. They would come under this 400,000 species. But they have human life form.
Oh, so that's where I could not get the reference of mountains and rivers and everyone. Like how come they're acting like humans? Okay.
Okay, so we'll end here, because I have another class also now. Some devotees are waiting for me.
Thank you very much.
Chandra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Vancha kalpadrupasya kripa sindhu patena pavane vaishnav.
ऐसे बोलता है एक दूसरा